Greetings. This video is going to be about my book recommendations. Those are the books that had influenced me in a major way, or they just really provide a deep knowledge, such a knowledge that I wasn't able to just find it on Google. Okay, so I just have like a stack of books here, and I don't have a like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like the best or number 10, number 9. I'm just gonna go over each book and see whichever one you resonate, guys. Of course, a good chunk of them are just like about some sort of spirituality, some sort of mysticism, maybe even a cult. But I don't think I actually have so much occult things going on. But I have a couple of I have a couple of witchy books, but later about them. So, I'm just gonna start actually with not so spiritual book, but it's very, very useful. It's so good to know how people's psyche, how people's psychology work. And this book is called 48 Laws of Power. It's pretty fat, as you can see, but nevertheless, it's a very interesting book. It's very interesting how the author had put all this information, historical information, by the way, as well. So it's almost like you read and it's kind of like this whole historical background. So it's almost like you're reading a fiction. Very, very useful. It's a lot of information on rulers, on kings and queens, and how sometimes like our subconscious mind is like so silly. Nothing sinister. Some people would say, oh, this is such a sinister book. I do not think so. If it works, it works. The next book is we have Holy Science by Sri Yukteswar. Actually, I read this book a while ago. Like, this is very thin compared to the previous one. But I really enjoyed, and actually thinking about reading it once again. Somehow this book got lost. Like, I gave it to my friend, and then I was like, where's my book? I really love this book. And I couldn't find it on Amazon anymore for some reason. Or maybe I just forgot the name. But Sri Yukteswar, he was a guru for Paramahamsa Yoganada, and that leads me, this is probably my number one book. I'm like a Steve Jobs here. Autobiography of a Yogi. Guys, this is where my spiritual Kriya path started. Okay, that's the book. I've heard some of the yogis sort of got mad at Paramahamsa Yogananda because he revealed a lot more than he was supposed to, but it's an amazing book. I think everybody should read it. It just resonated with so much with me, just like from the bottom of my heart. I always knew since my childhood certain things are like possible. I always thought that levitation is possible, manifesting out of thin air is possible, and it is possible. Turn out it is possible. So if you don't believe me, read Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahamsa Yogananda, and I'll try to link all the books. Well, not link. I'll write it down in the description box. Okay. Another book is called Conversation with God. It's not, of course, as deep as I would say, like many other spiritual books, but nevertheless, it's very good. It's interesting. It's really interesting, and has like, this is book 1. This guy also wrote book 2 and 3. I think he wrote 3 books totally. Basically channeled God, and which of course anybody of us can do this, but sometimes you have to bring yourself into a certain level of intensity to channel your higher self, and I think this is what this person did. I still recommend this. It's great. It's just great. That's all I can say. The next book we have here is Yoga Sutras of Patanjali by one joyous Swami. His name is Sri Swami Satchitananda. And he comments as he goes with all the sutras, Yoga Sutras. If you're really into yoga, you know, every yogi should read this book, in my perspective. Yeah, I think every yogi should read this book. Moving along, we have here Maturity by Osho. Also, I have all this Eastern spirituality. You know what? I had no idea. I'm gonna go so quick through all those books. So maybe I'll just grab a few more ones so you can guys see that. I mean, of course, most of my readings are on spirituality, and a huge chunk of it is Eastern spirituality. That's why right now, for the last, I would say, a year or two, I'm focusing more on Western spirituality, more like a Kabbalistic type of approach, and because I feel like I studied a lot of Eastern spirituality, now I'm liking the Western. But Osho, Maturity, this book you can just read, and just remind yourself and align yourself of the truth. So this is that type of a book that you can always open and you can always read, and you will always find the wisdom. You will always find something that has been missing. If you're like feeling misaligned with your life, it's just like, hey, this is the insight for you. And of course, you can open the random page, and that page will always resonate with you. That's one of those type of books. Here we have also have Edgar Cayce on Atlantis. You know, I'm a big fan of not big fan. I mean, I don't know if fan is the right word, but I love reading everything about Atlantis. I love reading everything about new civilization, Lemuria. Actually, I have a couple of books that I was reading online. I don't have them in hard copy, but Edgar Cayce, he was one of the greatest psychics, I think, that has ever existed in our history of humanity. If you haven't heard about them, I highly recommend to search for Edgar Cayce, search what he was doing. Basically, he was describing his memories from one of his past lifetime as a priest in ancient Egypt, and he was very, very accurate at psychic. It's an incredible thing. And actually, I'm also thinking about rereading this book one more time. Last time I read this book was like maybe 5 years ago, and of course since then I get a lot more information. And I personally like to, the way I do, I always do my own researches, and the way I do is like I gather information, a little bit of this information from this person, I gather information a little bit of that from that person, and from my own past lifetime memories, from my own inner knowing, from my own psychic abilities, and like I just like to combine everything in one bigger picture. So that's what I do. Another book we have by, of course, I'm a bias, I guess in this case, by Sadhguru. It's called Musings. This book, as you can see, has been a little bit worn out. Maybe not even a little bit, but also a lot of revelation of hidden truth, of hidden science, of hidden wisdom that you won't be able to find it anywhere. And that's what I like about it. Hidden wisdom, hidden truths, right? Hidden mysticism. Yes, so that's that, Mystics Musings. I'm not gonna go into huge depth about this book because it talks about like disembodied beings, the way Sadhguru built Dhyanalinga. Dhyanalinga is a whole different animal. It's basically a god in the stone. Basically, Sadhguru created God Yes, I know it sounds very weird and maybe even too ambitious, but nevertheless, it is truth. Okay, and the last book, actually, I'm just still working on it. I almost done. It's called Unveiled Mysteries by Godfrey King, and this is the book number 1. He has like many books of this series. It's like 20 volumes, and this is volume 1. I am planning on reading another 2 volumes, so totally will be 3. Again, Ascendant Masters, which one of my favorite topics. Of course, Ascendant Master appears here in this book by Paramahamsa Yoganada, Mahavatar Babaji, which I immediately felt resonance with, and you can see it, he is on my wall. But I have a lot more books that I will be actually talking about as I read them. I haven't read them yet. I have like a huge stack of books that I'm about to read, and hopefully that will manifest. Let's see if I have anything else I can recommend you guys. Just give me 1 sec, okay? Oh. I'm here. Don't lose me, guys. I'm still working. Find out, see what books I can recommend you. Okay, I got a few more books. Not all of them as spiritual as the other ones, but actually, hey, those specific books, like this book, for example, Mystic's Musings, and also Autobiography of a Yogi, they're not just books. Treat them as your holy books. Treat them as a certain energy form. They're alive. They're not like any other book, because they're truly alive. Okay, so make sure you treat them accordingly. Here I have a Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I know we're just jumping from almost holy books into something like that, but I still think people should be educating themselves from many perspectives, not just, okay, I'm spiritual and this is the only thing that I read. Although I kind of became like that for the last few years, but still I would try to buy other books and to educate myself even further. Great book, because we are all financially uneducated, unfortunately. You can finish bachelor's, you can finish master's, you can finish your PhD, but you can still be financially illiterate. And oh boy, especially if you're living in America, it's a must read, okay? It's a must, because money is the basics. It's the lower chakras, right? Lower chakras is the basic stuff. You cannot move into a higher dimension if you're starving or if you're dying out of starvation. Talking about dying, my next recommendation is going to be also about Sadhguru, and it's the topic on death. Basically, what happens to your body, to all your bodies, to all your layers of your bodies after you die. Very scientific, which I like. Okay, this is what happens with this within this day. This is what happens with this day. I like spiritual science. Yeah, I do. So that's that. I highly recommend if you're interested in the topic of that. Also in the category of hidden wisdom. My next book will be by Hilde Larsen, and the book is called Know the Truth and Get Healthy. Of course, this is mostly about about your health. And very sort of alternative approach to how we view health, and a lot of tips on how to cleanse your body, how to get rid of your toxins. Talks all about the remedies, essential oils, herbs, fasting, juicing, like really everything that you can think of, even your mental, like it's all also about your mental health, negative thinking, and all that good stuff just combined in one book. I highly recommend this. I think this is where my healing, like I basically got inspired by this book personally. And she talks from her personal perspective when doctors failed to heal her Lyme disease, and she had not just Lyme disease, she had like many other types of ailments, and doctors were just useless, of course. So if you're a doctor, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. The next book I have here, I'm holding, is by David Icke, and this is if you're into conspiracy theories. This book I read when it was published, but I even read it before, some of the information even before. The book is published 2012, and what I'm reading here looks like the conspiracy theory is becoming truth, especially when it comes to current situations. I'm not gonna tell those words because I don't want to be flagged, but it's a must read. It's a must read because if you do not read this book, like, you will really be taken advantage of other forces, and it's not about your believing or disbelieving. Just see, and if it makes sense to you. I know some of the stuff, like some of the books that I actually gathered all together, it's almost like fairy tales, but life is a fairy tale. It is a fairy tale, and the more you see how fairy tale-ish it is, the more fairy tale it becomes. So I hope, sorry for the background noise, but I hope you like my book selection. Let me know what you think about it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.